Yeah, so we are honored to be joined by Roger Stone. This is the first time I've actually spoken to Roger in person, so thank you for joining us late on a Saturday night. Roger, what is at the top of your mind right now? Obviously, I'm sure you've heard about the developments at the Trump rally. Do you have any intel there? What else is at the top of your mind?
Yeah, I watched this, guys, in real time here at InfoWars, and of course, this is the recurring nightmare that I've had for about a year. But the real irony, and I'm glad to see that the candidate is safe and no one has been injured, the real irony is if you went on Twitter right now, there's at least 400 tweets, perhaps more, saying that Roger Stone staged this to generate sympathy for Donald Trump. Now, this is this depraved criminal, David Brock, the guy who is
in the WikiLeaks.
Yeah, that's in WikiLeaks where they say this guy is a nut job for Hillary to steer clear of this guy. Like, even her own people are warning her about this guy. Like, this guy's a loon. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
Don't
I
listen.
think the exact quote was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So, But these are his trolls, you see. I don't know who in their camp planned this attempted assault on Trump. Now it fails, and we immediately, it's almost, Joseph Goebbels would be proud. They're right out immediately spinning that this is our fault, that we did this. It is so outrageous that I had to call in and comment on it.
Hey, Roger, this is Joe. Like, how amazing is this? I mean, we were speaking about this earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but, earlier today, Hillary Clinton leaves her rally because it is raining. You have Donald Trump sitting there giving a speech. We're at this pivotal point in America right now where we're fighting to take it back. And you have a man, a possible assassination attempt, whatever, whatever have you. Secret Service rushes him off stage. He comes back out, finishes the speech, and then releases a statement saying, hey, we're all going to survive this. We got to make America great again. I want to thank my Secret Service, my law enforcement. I mean, what kind of balls does that take, Roger?
No, the guy's got enormous courage. He's got enormous physical courage. He is well aware of the fact that since his candidacy caught fire, that he was taking his life in his hands anytime he went out in public. But he's very fatalistic about it. He understands that he is at the crest of a movement. He really does understand it's not about him, but about what we need to do to take back our country. And I spoke to him, I guess, yesterday. He was in an extraordinarily good mood. He can feel the traction in the country. He can feel the critical mass building behind his campaign. And having been through 9 presidential campaigns, he's precisely where you want to be at this point. In other words, the hardest place in politics to be is holding a lead and trying to just ride it out. It never works because you have nothing to say. You're afraid of being provocative. You're just trying to, steady as she goes. That's the worst place to be. The place to be in politics is in second place and moving up quickly. That's where you want to be, 3 days before the election. I think he's going to peak at exactly the right time.
And this is what the internal polls are indicating right now, Roger. We've seen that. Now, I have 2 thoughts, and I'd like to hear your thoughts as a follow-up on this. First of all, Joe Biggs has brought up the idea, hashtag Alex Jones was right. As we just covered, Goebbels would be happy. They immediately take something that happened and they blame us. They blame the Patriots. Alex Jones has been saying they were going to be doing this for a long time. Now they're doing it. But also, this is what I'd really like to hear your opinion on, and maybe a more in-depth analysis of this. If we actually start seeing citizens organically attempting to take Donald Trump's life or attempting to incite violence and stuff like this, we know that the Clinton campaign is trying to pull that stuff off. But if it starts to happen organically, I'm looking right at the mainstream media, and that is who to blame. They've painted a picture of Donald Trump. Of course, if there was actually a racist, a fascist, somebody this bad like the media is painting Donald Trump to be, of course people are going to want to react. Of course there's going to be backlash. Of course that's not the truth, but you're going to stir up these crazies. Everything they try to say Alex Jones has been doing, they're actually doing. Roger Stone.
Yeah, that has been the whole Kafkaesque point of this. In other words, Hillary takes huge dollars from the Russians to deliver the uranium concession in the United States, and then she accuses Trump of being in the pocket of the Russians. It's a perfect example. Everything the Clintons have done is precisely what they turn around and attack Trump and his supporters for. It has an Alice in Wonderland quality to it.
Well, that's why I love Dinesh D'Souza's movie, Hillary's America.
The mainstream media stopped for a second to say, no, wait a minute, that's not quite right. The Democrats last week demanding an investigation of the FBI. How dare they do their job? How dare they stop the cover-up of Hillary's crimes? Now they want Comey removed. They loved Comey back when he was engaging in the cover-up. But now that the stench has gotten so bad of the Clintons' crimes, and now there are 650,000 new pieces of evidence in Huma Abedin's email server, it's kind of like the Watergate tapes. It's indelible. These people are going to prison. It's only a matter of time.
Roger Stone joins us, Owen Schroyer and Joe Biggs here on a special Saturday night broadcast, and there's so much developing. Obviously, Donald Trump rally tonight. An alleged gunman showed up. It appears that was not the case, that it was somebody that may have been a plant, may have been an organic disturbance at the Trump rally. But Roger Stone joins us now to talk about it. They've blamed him. They've tried to set up a false narrative on him.
I can't run into a building and scream fire. If people run out and something happens, I'm at fault for that. You know, why can't these people be held accountable for spreading this false narrative? And then, like you said, if this is an actual person who's been turning on the TV and seeing this propaganda and going, oh, my God, this guy's a racist. He's a scumbag. He hates America. If Donald Trump truly wins, we're going to die. I've got to take this, extreme action. I've got to save America for what he thinks. These people should be held accountable for that. I find it truly disgusting.
What do you think can be the explanation for the way Hillary Clinton has responded to the recent reopening of the investigation into her emails? For me, Roger, it shows their desperation. They know this is their final stand or it's jail. And more than anything, the absolute arrogance for Hillary Clinton to come out and try to dictate what the FBI does. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that they, of course, have lived a charmed life. The Clintons have escaped so many punches. They have skirted so many scandals, and they've always gotten away with it. Frankly, they came very close this time. Comey gave them the benediction they were waiting for, and she was going to get away with it. Her problem now is, now that the New York Police Department has all these records, they cannot be bullied. They cannot be silenced. They will not go down in a cover-up. They just won't. So if the folks at Justice or at one faction of the FBI had any thoughts about trying to cover this up, that's out the window. Now, let's just say theoretically, she narrowly wins. She appoints an attorney general. She appoints an FBI director. She appoints law enforcement officials who seek to cover up these very scandals. You'll have an uprising in the country that will paralyze the government and cause a constitutional crisis.
So that leads
There's
to
no escape now. There's no escape now.
Yeah, that leads to my next question. What do you know about maybe a soft coup coming in from within the government, with good sources inside?
Well, look, we have a democratic society, and let us hope that's not how this goes down. This has to have a legal and constitutional conclusion to it. But in a sense, you've had it because an element of the FBI, particularly the heroes at the New York Police Department, have finally said, no, enough, stop. No more cover-up for these people. They're going to be held responsible because, as we learned in Watergate, no person is above the law, not even the Clintons. They're living on borrowed time. Whether it catches up with them in time for this election remains to be seen. There's a lot of news here to digest in a very short period of time, and not many specifics because I think we're going to get those going forward. But the bloom is off the rose, and I think they're staring into the abyss, and I think they know that.
Roger, what do you think is next from WikiLeaks? With every data dump, there's something new. There's a new little nugget, a new angle exposing a different side of them, a different side of their corruption. Do you have any guesses on what WikiLeaks might be exposing next?
I really don't, although I must say that Assange has lived up to his billing in terms of the incredible material that he has disclosed. I do know that this new FBI probe, or I should say the reopening of the investigation into her emails stemmed from an interview with a suspect in another matter who revealed to the FBI that the Clintons had shaken down the nation of Serbia for $2 million in order for the Serbian president to get a meeting with Barack Obama. That was the seminal event that caused the FBI to reopen the investigation. That is the recording that FBI Director Comey is referring to. This whole thing is extraordinarily unlikely, the way this has come about, but I think it is now inexorable. The WikiLeaks disclosures are now, oddly enough, secondary to what we're going to learn, I suspect, from this NYPD FBI found treasure trove.
we live in a day and age now where we have so many people who are so computer savvy, so many hackers, people who grew up in this computer age where they know how to manipulate, get in, find stuff based off emails, do all this and that, And the power WikiLeaks had was exposing the names. That was the biggest thing. So we have the names like the Podestas and all these different people being exposed, being corrupt, and being involved in possible pedophilia rings, Jeffrey Epstein, all this stuff. So what I'm seeing now on 4chan and all this, which is a communication site for people who go in and look for information, post stuff. There's a lot of people who have seen these emails and they're finding the names of people and they're going in and doing research on them. And they're finding some truly disturbing connections, just like we've seen the do you want Domino's on your hot dog or pizza or whatever like that, these weird code names. My question is how true is a lot of this stuff? I mean, do you really think that these people are this sick? Do you really think that these people are that demonic, that they're just so, I don't know, bloodthirsty?
Is this the loose end that if we tug it, it will bring down a pedophile ring?
It appears that way. Look, it should not be shocking to educated observers of the ruling elite that there has always been this subthread of pedophilia. Jeffrey Epstein, the millionaire hedge fund operator, is found in a Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department undercover investigation to have raped 33 underage girls, the youngest 13, the oldest 17. He is allowed to plead to one count of solicitation. He gets a 15-month sentence, 15 months, where he only has to go to jail from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. During the day, he's free on his own recognizance. He can even travel. Unlike every other sex criminal in Florida, he's not sent to the state penitentiary. He's allowed to serve his sentence in an air-conditioned wing of the Palm Beach County Jail. Now, when the federal government, under George Bush, comes in to review the case, instead of subjecting him to more harsh penalties, they rubber stamp the local Democratic prosecutor's conviction, and then they seal it. Why has this pedophile gotten bipartisan legal protection from the system? What is it that he knows? Or who is it that he has video of? I think we're going to find that out in these emails.
And, of course, Julian Assange has been saying that the information that will be released in the emails will warrant a criminal investigation, will warrant an arrest. Well, he was right. We've got it. I mean, we've got it right here. Do you think, and I think that they would like, I think a RICO case is what we would all like to see. Who knows how far-reaching that could be. But what do you think the odds are that we have a more clear ideal of what is happening with this investigation before the election?
Yeah, but think about this at one point. It's easier for her to blame the Russians because then that shows that everything's fine here. If it comes out that this is coming from someone within the government who's leaking the stuff to WikiLeaks,
which it is,
that shows that the government is against her, which makes her look weaker and shows that there is no trust for her, which makes her, it puts her in a point where she can't win. She doesn't have that upper hand.
Well, but let's also assume at this point that Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin are probably both plea bargaining.
Oh, they're definitely rolling over right now.
I mean, they're going to go to work for the government. Neither one of them wants to go to prison for the rest of their lives. So the house of cards will come down. I don't think we will know as much as we would perhaps like to before the election. It's just not physically possible. I know a dozen reporters who are scrambling on this. We'll know a bit more, and therefore it's hard to say the full impact it will have on the election. I suspect we're going to learn the worst of this after the election, but before the inauguration of the next president, whoever that might be.
And if Trump wins, of course, things will play themselves out, and I think whatever investigation is ongoing will continue, and it won't affect us near as much. But let's talk about the awful prospect of Hillary Clinton winning. We could be looking at a scenario where she could be under FBI investigation while she's inaugurated. She could possibly have an indictment looming while she's inaugurated. And then there's the other added element. What do you think the odds are if something happens before she's inaugurated and there's an indictment looming that Barack Obama pardons her?
I have predicted that on InfoWars now for over a year, that would be the end game. And the Nixon precedent makes it very clear that the president could pardon her prior to being indicted, could be pardon her for crimes he doesn't even know about yet. He technically could pardon her for all and any crimes that we may learn about. I think that has a high probability. Her ability to govern at that point would be impossible. There will be so many people outside the White House surrounding it, demanding she resign. It'll be very hard for her to govern in any way.
I mean, I think it's fair to say at this point, and obviously we're not trying to compare this to things in the past as far as wars are concerned, but I mean, we're essentially in a civil war right now for this country. We the people versus the brainwashed masses and the corrupt Washington establishment that herds them. I mean, this is truly incredible, and I think it's sad, Roger, that there's so many Americans that have no idea what's going on. They don't understand the gravity of this election. They don't understand the peak that we're hitting right now, how important this truly is. And I'm just curious, what are your, I mean, this is kind of taking the conversation in a different direction, but, you know, we've obviously got the attacks coming on Donald Trump, all of these people now making claims, trying to file suit, sexual this, harassment that. What is Trump's strategy? How is he? Of course, these all just happen to develop when Trump runs for president and starts kicking ass magically. But what is the reaction from the Trump campaign? What do Trump supporters do in their response to all of these allegations being levied against Trump here in the closing days?
Well, I think fortunately they have lacked the ring of credibility. I'm sure you saw the 13-year-old woman the woman who claimed that Trump raped her at 13. A story that has been planted and nursed by the Clinton people for some time. This I always suspected, since they knew that Bill Clinton has real vulnerabilities in terms of his association with Epstein. This was a somehow attempt to neutralize Trump. Anyway, this woman has dropped her lawsuit. She's not coming forward.
Oh, shocking.
She never did reveal her name, but that's because this never happened. So this false flag just collapsed. David Brock must be furious because I figure he was the guy who probably propped this phony.
I'm actually reading a lot of stuff on David Brock right now that keeps popping up that people are going into. That's going to be, I think, it'll be breaking probably tomorrow. That's going to be pretty huge. It's going to make a lot of people smile when they read it.
He'd be going down with the rest of them. I mean, David Brock is a money laundering sleazebag. He's a psycho.
Yeah, the only problem is, although he may enjoy prison, who knows? It's very perverse. So.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Possibly, but you know, think about this though. If say if I were unemployed right now and I went to McDonald's and I filed for employment, I tried to get a job there. If they found out that I was being investigated by the FBI, I'd be denied. I wouldn't be able to get a job there. No.
So how in the hell can this woman still be running for office?
She brags.
It pisses me off.
She brags about Debbie Wasserman Schultz being a part of her staff. This woman should be in jail. I'm sorry, Roger. I don't mean to scream in your ear.
I can't freaking stand this, man. I mean,
we're getting fired up here, Roger.
This woman should be in jail right now. I can't even get a job at McDonald's.
Roger, they're trying to steal this election from Trump. We know that is in their cards. What are we doing right now to avoid them stealing this election? How can we stop the steal?
Well, let me give you a quick fill. Late yesterday, we were victorious in Arizona, where a federal judge ruled for us that our exit poll program to check the veracity and integrity of the machines did not intimidate voters, and he dismissed the lawsuit from the Clinton thugs. I have to respond to the court in Nevada on Monday, as well as Ohio, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. I believe we will prevail in all of those places. In Ohio, there is already a ruling against us. That's because the Democratic lawyers representing the Clintons lied to the judge and told them I had been properly served. I was never served in this lawsuit. I never knew of its existence. I didn't know that there was a proceeding to which I was supposed to attend. So they defrauded the court in order to get this ruling. We will appeal to the Ohio Appeals Court on Monday morning, and we will provide a witness and what other information. Just to say it again, standing outside of a polling place and politely asking somebody who has voted to participate in a completely neutral exit poll determining for whom they voted cannot in any way constitute intimidation.
Exactly, because they've already voted.
The people who are helping us with Stop the Steal, sure, they're Trump supporters, and Gary Johnson supporters, and Jill Stein supporters, and Bernie Sanders supporters, and libertarians, and Green Party members, and Republicans. You know what we have in common? We want an honest election. That's the goal of our program, just an honest election. So the idea that this is some kind of a Republican front to intimidate voters is hogwash. It's rhetoric.
It's like an American watchdog thing, like everybody's a neighborhood watch.
Yeah, I mean, all trying to do here is to conduct a valid, scientifically neutral exit poll in certain select key precincts to compare against the machines in those precincts. We're not going to be enough precincts nationwide to ensure the integrity or lack of the entire election. That is not our goal. Our goal is to try to determine whether there is a pattern of irregularity. The U.S. State Department has a federal guideline in which we judge foreign elections that holds that the deviation between the actual results and the exit polls cannot be more than 2%. All we're asking here is that our next United States election adhere to our own State Department standard, Hillary Clinton's standard, if you will. And with that, I see that my lawyer is calling me because we've got to go through a deposition tonight. So I'm going to jump off, but gents, it was great to join you for a few minutes.
Absolutely, Roger. We thank you for your time. So there goes Roger Stone, an absolute warrior in this election cycle for the Patriot movement that has become the Trump movement.
I want to see 10 million viewers tune in over the 50-plus hours, and that's where you come in. You are the heart and blood of the InfoWar. If you spread the link to Infowars.com/show and point out that this is the alternative new media, this is the rebellion, then all of you are riding right beside us, not behind us. So spread the word, my Paul Reveres, no matter where you live in the world. To Information Warfare Arms, the globalists are coming, and they will be met on the field.
Yeah, so we are honored to be joined by Roger Stone. This is the first time I've actually spoken to Roger in person, so thank you for joining us late on a Saturday night. Roger, what is at the top of your mind right now? Obviously, I'm sure you've heard about the developments at the Trump rally. Do you have any intel there? What else is at the top of your mind?
Yeah, I watched this, guys, in real time here at InfoWars, and, of course, this is the recurring nightmare that I've had for about a year. But the real irony, and I'm glad to see that the candidate is safe and no one has been injured, the real irony is if you went on Twitter right now, there's at least 400 tweets, perhaps more, saying that Roger Stone staged this to generate sympathy for Donald Trump. Now, this is this depraved criminal, David Brock, the guy who is
in the WikiLeaks.
Yeah, that's the one in WikiLeaks where they say this guy is a nut job for Hillary to steer clear of this guy. Like, even her own people are warning her about this guy. Like, this guy's a loon. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
Don't
I
listen.
think the exact quote was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
So, But these are his trolls, you see. I don't know who in their camp planned this attempted assault on Trump. Now it fails, and we immediately, it's almost, Joseph Goebbels would be proud. They're right out immediately spinning that this is our fault, that we did this. It is so outrageous that I had to call in and comment on it.
Hey, Roger, this is Joe. Like, how amazing is this? I mean, we were speaking about this earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but, earlier today, Hillary Clinton leaves her rally because it is raining. You have Donald Trump sitting there giving a speech. We're at this pivotal point in America right now where we're fighting to take it back. And you have a man, a possible assassination attempt, whatever have you. Secret Service rushes him off stage. He comes back out, finishes the speech, and then releases a statement saying, hey, we're all going to survive this. We got to make America great again. I want to thank my Secret Service, my law enforcement. I mean, what kind of balls does that take, Roger?
No, the guy's got enormous courage. He's got enormous physical courage. He is well aware of the fact that since his candidacy caught fire, that he was taking his life in his hands anytime he went out in public. But he's very fatalistic about it. He understands that he's at the crest of a movement. He really does understand it's not about him, but about what we need to do to take back our country. And I spoke to him, I guess, yesterday. He was in an extraordinarily good mood. He can feel the traction in the country. He can feel the critical mass building behind his campaign. And having been through 9 presidential campaigns, he's precisely where you want to be at this point. In other words, the hardest place in politics to be is holding a lead and trying to just ride it out. It never works because you have nothing to say. You're afraid of being provocative. You're just trying to, steady as she goes. That's the worst place to be. The place to be in politics is in second place and moving up quickly. That's where you want to be, 3 days before the election. I think he's going to peak at exactly